My name is Dr. Deidre Hill Butler. I'm a professor at Union College and a 20-year resident of Schenectady, and my children are gladly enrolled in the Schenectady Public Schools. And we are going to have a candid conversation with our candidates who are running for Schenectady County Legislature, the Schenectady Council, City Council, and the Schenectady School Board. We're going to ask a question to Omar McGill, our candidate from for the race for the city legislature, the county legislature first, and then we'll have a transition time. We'll have our city council members come after that, and then we'll have a third transition, and we'll have our school board members, candidates come and speak. So first, we're going to have the candidate introduce himself, to give a brief introduction of a few minutes, and then I will ask him a question. So, Mr. McGill.
Thank you, Dr. Butler. First, I would like to thank the Schenectady Black Political Action Committee for this opportunity to address the constituents of Schenectady County. I appreciate you coming off the sidelines and forming a group to support candidates of color in their pursuit to more diversify our leadership within Schenectady. As was stated before, my name is Omar Sterling McGill. I was born and raised here in Schenectady. I am running for Schenectady County Legislature for District 1. District 1 encompasses downtown, Stockade, Bellevue, Vale Village, as well as the north side, Van Rankin, and Crane Street, in areas of Crane Street south going towards Bellevue. So that encompasses my district. I was raised in District 1. I went to school in Schenectady. I graduated from Morehouse College in 2012. I got my BA in Business Administration. After that, I started my own nonprofit, which works with youth and young adults on collegiate readiness, health awareness, and social responsibility. Through our own programs and our collaborative programs, we have reached about 800 students. Currently, I work at the New York State Legislature. I've been there for the past 6 years. While I was working in the Assembly, I worked on the policy side and was a part of multiple legislations, such as expanding ride sharing, increasing minimum wage, and also being a part of the opioid and heroin combatants of ridding that from our community. Right now, I work in the New York State Senate as a journal clerk, and we keep a principal record of the day-to-day activities from the Senate and what they do as far as legislative business. Currently in Schenectady County, I also serve as the Vice Chairman of the Human Rights Commission, and I'm a part of the NAACP, which is an organization that has been restarted in 2018 that is also continuing to rise and have influence. That is a little bit about myself and who I am. The reason why I'm running is because when I went down to Atlanta, while I was in Atlanta in college, I was able to see diverse leadership, and I was able to see what diverse leadership is able to do to a community that is diverse. It's very important to me that leadership reflects the community in which it serves. And I think it's important that we continue to increase our diversity, not just in race, but also in age. I think I bring a unique viewpoint that is not currently at the county. I think I'm in tune with this district that has poured so much into me that I've been a part of since I've been alive, which is about 30 years. My grandmother's been a part of this district for 55 years, and she's never seen a person that looks like her on the county legislature. And I'm hoping to break that mold. There are many things that I want to do on the county level, and there are many things that I think the county is already doing that is great, but I just think that we need to make sure that everybody's voices are heard and everybody feels a part of the team. So those are a couple of the reasons why I'm running.
Thank you for those comments. I want to ask a question about social justice and how it fits in with your platform. In light of unmasking of systematic racism that has plagued our country and every aspect of it, how do you envision making a change in the inequalities that Black and brown people suffer within your jurisdiction? And how do you propose we do so without creating further division of all of our citizens?
Thank you for that question. It is important that we create unity within our community. And for us to be able to do that, people need to feel a part of the team. That's why I think representation matters. for people to understand the unique power, the unique talents, the unique pain that we all bring together that make up a community, we all need to be at that table, being able to voice that pain, that power, those unique talents. For us to be able to start taking down systemic racism, people who are in the leadership role need to understand what is actually going on and how we do that. But you can't do that if the people that are mostly being affected by there are not at the table, explaining and letting you know what those issues are and what that systemic racism is doing, not only to us right now, but to our youth and for the future.
Thank you so much. Now we will have a transition for our city council. While we make this transition, I'd just like to state the mission of the Schenectady Black Political Action Committee. The mission statement is to assure diversity, inclusion, and honest representation on the governing bodies in the city and county of Schenectady by supporting Black candidates in campaigning and running for office. What is the Schenectady Black Political Action Committee? The Schenectady Black Political Action Committee is a non-connected PAC formed by a group of individuals who share common interests and concerns with the current structure and process of recruiting candidates for office in the city and county of Schenectady. We intend to provide support and resources to candidates for elective office who meet and share the interests, principles, and concerns of Schenectady Black Political Action Committee members about legislative issues. We will assist candidates we support in getting elected so the local governing bodies are more reflective of the communities they serve. Why were we created? The Schenectady Black Political Action Committee was created to address the historic minimal representation of diversity on the governing bodies in the City Council and County of Schenectady, and the challenges faced by potential candidates when seeking to enter the political arena. We want to ensure that our members and general public are informed of this critical component of the local political activities. So now we'll have introductions and a brief statement by each of the candidates for City Council. We will start with Councilman John Motaviran at my far, far distant area back there.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Mootooveren. I am currently a City Council member and currently also the President of the Schenectady City Council. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Schenectady Black Candidate Political Action Committee for inviting me to this forum this evening. Much appreciated. Again, my name is John Mootoviran. I lived in Schenectady for quite some time now. I'm married with two children. Daughter just graduated from college, and I have another daughter in high school. I am a proud resident of Schenectady and will continue to do so for many more years to come. My current profession, I am working as a project accountant for a construction company out in Albany, a multi-million-dollar construction company where we deal with all commercial construction. This year marked my 8 years on the council. Over the 8 years, I have worked and assisted with many successful projects that benefited our residents. One I would like to mention is our neighborhood revitalization and our annual permit fee waiver. And only last year, we looked at numbers that we have given back to our community, over $35,000 of waiver to homeowners in our city. I was very instrumental in working with my colleagues, both on the city and county level, to provide the waiver of interest and penalty on property tax. Many homeowners are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and we need this help at this point in time so that they're able to pay out the bills at the same time and we don't penalize them if they're falling short. Also, I was very instrumental in working with my colleagues and the affirmative officer to amend our city MWBE laws to equip this office with the tools needed to make sure that our contractor and the hiring process are in compliance with today's MWBE policies, and it's something that we intend to review every 2 years. We also adapted the federally Section 3 policy so that employment can be provided to local residents at project sites. I've also worked with my county colleagues and the departments of health to bring COVID-19 resources, including masks and vaccine, to the underserved community, and I will continue to make that outreach accessible to our community. I believe in fiscal discipline and transparency. In our last budget, I was able to convince 4 of my colleagues, one is right on my left here, to work with me and to avoid 17.5 layoff and save many services from the 2021 proposed budget cut. We were able to find funding source, and my colleagues trusted my way of finding the funding so that we can avoid these cuts. I am happy that we did it, and we can see the benefit that we avoid cutting 17.5 jobs that was locally jobs, people who were employed in Schenectady, and to save many services by not taking the proposed budget that was presented to the City Council. I am a big believer that we must provide for our children and family. The youth of today must be given the basic resource needed to fulfill their dreams. I have, and I still work with our senior center to make sure the senior center stays open for a long time to come. The council, along with the administration, must provide the funding needed to keep the senior center and other organizations that benefit youths in our community open. The time has come for many in Schenectady to adapt to the ever-changing demographic and work with all groups to bring about real changes so that all of us can benefit. I would like to encourage you to give me the opportunity to serve your interests on the council another term. And I would like to remind you that June 22nd, 2021 is the primary day. So I encourage people out there to please get registered and get out and vote on June 22nd. It is very important. We have a diverse slate of candidates, and we cannot ask for better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Next, we'll have Marion Porterfield introduce herself and give some opening remarks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Marion Porterfield. I'm currently a councilwoman on this. I'm currently on the City Council. I'm starting my 10th year. I got on the council in 2012. And I'd just like to tell you about why I actually decided that I would run for City Council. Before actually getting on the council, I spent a lot of time going down to City Council meetings and advocating for our community and talking about things that really needed to happen within the community. I felt that it was really falling on deaf ears, and that there was no one on the other side of the rail that really was that connected with the community. And so for that reason, I decided that I would run for City Council. So in 2012, I actually, well, let me just say, first of all, after a 2011 election, I was then appointed in 2012, in April of 2012, and then in 2012, I ran a special election to keep my seat, and then in 2013, I had to run again for my full term. So I was very determined that that representation was needed on that council, on the council. Because if the voice of the people are not heard, then really what are we doing? I strongly believe in participatory government. We're elected to represent people, so that's what we really have to do. But in order to represent people adequately, then we have to know what the needs, the concerns that people have. So that is why I came to the council, bringing that, and also wanted to be a person that could connect with the council members as well as connecting with the community to understand that everything that's asked for isn't necessarily that you'll be able to get it, but giving people an understanding of why and how government works, because I think that's important that that our community knows that. So since that time, since being on the on the City Council, I continue to stay involved with the community, to stay connected, to bring community concerns to the table. Some of the things that I've been involved with are affordable housing. Currently, I live in Hamilton Hill, but I've lived all over the city of Schenectady. I've lived in Woodlawn. I've lived in Mount Pleasant, so I've lived throughout the city. So I'm familiar with many parts of the city. And since we serve at large, I make sure that I stay connected with all communities all over the city. So affordable housing is one of the things that was a concern for our community. So now we do have affordable housing. But it doesn't just stop there. Even though we have affordable housing, I stay connected to make sure that it's managed properly and it stays affordable for the community. As Mr. Motaviran has said, we've served together and worked on the affirmative action plan, and we have an affirmative action manager who's doing a very fantastic job and getting people involved in work, women, men, and not just minority individuals, young people. I think that it's important that we continue to do that. As I think back on my 9 years on the council, I think about what are the things that I've learned. I've learned that we have to work with the colleagues that we have here, that it's important that the people that we serve are our main focus, and that everything that we do make sure that their needs get met, and that it's not just only about the people that are sitting around that table. So I appreciate the fact that I've been able to serve on this council, and I appreciate the people that I have been able to serve with and for. And I really look forward to continuing that service, and not only that, to make sure that we bring other people into serving on the city council and increasing the diversity so the representation that we have looks like the community that we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. We appreciate those comments. Next is Damonni Farley.
Okay, so, you hear me? So, my name is Damonni Farley. I'm a lifelong Schenectady resident, born and raised here. And right now, I raise my two sons, and I have a beautiful wife here. So we decided to stay in Schenectady because I'm a Schenectady guy. I love my city. For a long time before entering this political realm, I've done a lot of community service work, and you know, people often say to me things like, "Oh, that's really good that you give back to your community." But the reality of the situation is I'm paying back to my community because my community has invested in me and given me opportunities and has worked hard to allow me to have access to those opportunities and has mentored me, and I'm forever grateful for that. So my call to action, you know, the reason why I really wanted to seek a term for our city council is very similar to the reasons that you heard from Councilwoman Porterfield and Councilman Mootooveren. It's about representation, it's about creating access to opportunities, and also sustaining, you know, creating the setting conditions where all people can thrive in our community. We have some really, really good things happening in our community and have for some time. The unfortunate truth is, because when I say I love my community, I mean that in a very real way. And just like other things that I love, I'm not afraid of better. And I understand our community is not above critique. And I say that knowing that this is a very difficult job, and it's a very important role and responsibility to take on. But the bottom line is that we do have some really good things happening in our community, but the access to the opportunities have not been equitable. This is a situation where it's going to take a lot of people to do a little, right? Or a little bit of people to do a lot in order to change the current state of our community for the better. I believe in, you know, safe, affordable housing. You know, when we talk about safety in neighborhoods, and it's important that we recognize that safety for different neighborhoods might mean different things. So there'll be a lot of people that talk about safety and talk about what does that mean. For some communities, that means, hey, a larger police presence means safety for that community. In other communities, it can mean the opposite. We have to be honest when we look at the living conditions of people and how my quality of life can be so different than that of someone that's, you know, a stone's throw away from me, and not based on just my overall grit or work ethic. Again, it's about opportunities, but we have to build real bridges that we provide access to set opportunities in our community. And though I am very happy and grateful, especially for the work that's been done with the people that currently serve on our city council, a lot of that work has happened in the community outside of those halls of our city council. So we need to make sure that we have people who are not just going to be in those walls, but are going to be outside in the community, and you see their faces, and they're engaging you when they're not just asking you to come vote for them. So, and it's important for me that that's who I've always been. Luckily, I don't have to switch gears. Community service is much about my identity. It's more about who I am, not just what I do. And that's why I look forward to serving on the city council.
Thank you, Mr. Farley. And we'll get back to you in a few moments with more questions. You can go into that in more detail. Sure. And so we're going to meet two candidates for 2-year terms on the city council, Haileab Samuel and Carl Williams. Mr. Samuel.
Good evening. My name is Haileab Samuel. I've been a 16-year resident of Schenectady, where I own a home with my wife and my 2 children. I've raised my kids in the Schenectady School District, and my daughter is graduated and currently attends St. Lawrence University up in Canton, New York. Schenectady has been good to me. You know, everything that's good that's happened in my life has happened to me in Schenectady over the past 16 years. So about 6 years ago, I decided that because the city has been so good to me, I wanted to come in and give back to the city and volunteer to join the Schenectady Municipal Housing Authority. And I've served on that board very passionately, and I believe that helped a lot of folks through a lot of different situations, because there are many scenarios where folks were at odds because of some of the rules and regulations at the Housing Authority that I fought against to make sure that everyone had a fair chance. You know, when I think about Schenectady, you know, that the dichotomy of the fact that Schenectady has been so good to me, but yet so many others feel disenfranchised, is one of the reasons I feel compassionate about this job and the challenge that we have forward. These opportunities are here, like Mr. Farley said, but so many people don't know that they're here because they're not told about them, and the door's not open to them so that they can enter those opportunities easily. I believe with some of the insights that I have, you know, through my experience, you know, I own a small business here with 30 employees, IT services company, and I've been very successful right here in Schenectady, and I'm proud of that. But I want to see others in the city have that same opportunity. I've recently reached out to the high school to create 2 internships for disenfranchised and disadvantaged kids who have an interest in IT, because I want to start it I believe we need to start with the children now to see what the future of Schenectady is going to evolve into. So I want to do for Schenectady. I don't want to take anything from Schenectady. What I want to do is give to Schenectady, because I believe I have a diverse thought and different ideas on how to move the city forward. You know, it's not easy to run a small business and sustain over 6 years and grow from 5 people to 30 people. It requires collaboration and cooperation, and also, you know, being at the table when people don't agree. So you have to have the ability to talk to people and come to, you know, one accord to move forward. You know, when I look at the city council, I've been disappointed at what I've been seeing with this discord. And I believe that with, you know, joining the city council with the experience that I have, that I can add to breaking that discord and making this a better place for everyone in Schenectady. You know, I'm walking door to door now and knocking on doors, and I've been very encouraged, because people out in the communities have real issues and concerns, and many people are not being heard. I want to be a voice for everyone in the city, from Mount Pleasant to Bellevue to Goose Hill to Central Park, you know, to downtown. You know, this city cannot be a city where we're only catering to one group of people. This city cannot be a people where we're catering to people based on socioeconomic backgrounds. It has to be a city for everyone in Schenectady. This is a beautiful place. It's a beautiful city. I grew up in South Carolina, but this is my home now. I want my kids to come back after they graduate from college. It's a beautiful place. So that's why I'm running for city council, and that's why I'm serving this city, because it's been so good to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams.
So before I begin, I would like to thank the Schenectady Black Political Action Committee for inviting me here tonight. And I would like to thank Dr. Butler for doing such an amazing job moderating. It's not easy, and you're doing a fabulous job. And I'd like to say hi to the viewers who are in the audience tonight, and then also watching from home. My name is Carl Williams, and I'm very excited to be here. I'm the eldest of 6 children, or 6 brothers and sisters, and I have throughout my entire life always wanted to be a role model for them. So regardless of whether they're listening to me speak now. They're right here with me, cheering me on and supporting me as I continue down this journey to be elected to Schenectady City Council. My mother has been an influential figure throughout my life. She is a domestic violence survivor who showed me and my siblings that you are much more than what you've been through, and never make excuses for yourself. So that is one of the reasons why, despite not growing up in a very well-furnished apartment, striving to make ends meet, relying heavily on just us to get us by, that is that fervor, and that has been what lit the fire to remind me of what I was fighting for, and that's to create a better life for myself, to remain a role model for my siblings, and to strive to create a better family dynamic for my kids in the future. What my mother's teachings allowed me to do as a young black man was being raised in the city of Schenectady. It showed me this tenacious spirit that lives within this community. Countlessly, when I walk through the streets or run around Central Park, I'm reminded of how powerful this force is that's being awakened here, that everyone is aware of tonight. There's a shift within this city, and I think that is stirring up, and it scares some people. But I think what we need to constantly remind the audiences that are sitting there trying to understand what this might mean for the powers that have been is that we just want to have a voice at the table. So throughout my entire life, or not my entire life because I still have a lot to living to do, part of it was enlisting in the New York Air National Guard. And what my military service for the past 11 years has showed me is that I can hold true to the core values that have allowed me to be here at this evening is integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. Knocking door to door and meeting random people throughout the streets, it shows me that if I stay true to being a humble and honest candidate, that is all that I can promote to the city. And all I can do is just hold true that my message will resonate with the community, and that if my role was just to be here to amplify the messages of these fine candidates right here, I'm not afraid to admit and to say another candidate's name. I've been walking door to door with Haileab Samuel, and he is a fantastic man and individual. And I'm confident that if my role is just to propel his message forward, I am wholeheartedly in support of that. But I am also confident that my message holds true as well. Currently on City Council, as Haileab mentioned, there is a lot of discourse. However, these individuals can't do it forever, and as my generation seeks to step up and grab hold of those reins, we also need the opportunity to learn from what has worked and what hasn't worked, and that's why I'm seeking to run. Although representation is very key in ensuring that the success of the city continues trending upwards, we need to make sure that we have transition plans in place so that these individuals' learnings and lessons learned are not lost. So that is one of the reasons why I confidently step forward as someone that's been positioning myself for the past few years to be a fine candidate for you to vote on during our primary on June 22nd. For the past 2 years, I've been on various committees, to include me recently completing my MBA at Clarkson University and the Capital Region campus, and I can tell you that my professional and personal experience will best support me as I advocate for your interests. Now, being a city council member ensures that your voices are heard. However, I want to remind you that I am aware of certain issues such as our high taxes, such as our road and street maintenance, and also making sure that we have snow removal efforts that address lengthy times for you to be trapped in your houses. So I'm confident that when you go out to vote, that you will see in me what I see in you and allow us to continue moving forward, to continue striving. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your introductions. Thank you for giving us a little bit of knowledge of your perspective and what you hope to give to our city council. I'd like to ask Councilman Motaviran a question about small business development. Can you discuss your platform, what you've done in your years? I believe you said 8 years on the city council already, in regards to small business development and how you feel your continued participation on the council will help enlist spreading the prosperity that is happening currently in Schenectady.
Thank you for that question. On the council, I have worked along with my colleagues, both on the city and the county level, to bridge the gap and to remove the red tape that we have many small business have encountered trying to navigate the city and to get application permits in and things like that. On many occasions, I have a hands-on approach to help many small business navigate that process and to bring relief to them. We also in a council work openly with many small business to look at what the needs are, and at the council to minimize any impact or whatever difficulty there is to work with business, and at the same time make sure they have the adequate resource necessary to move forward and to sustain and to keep going in the city of Schenectady. We have several incentives that we have highlighted to business community within our city, and we'll continue to do that. We have for small business grants. We have the pilot project that it's up and running with Metroplex. That is something I have continuously advocate to business within the city of Schenectady, and it's something that I would advocate, especially for small minority business, to tap into it, make sure that they have access to it as we continue to develop Schenectady and move forward, and everyone is included and be part of this process.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mr. Williams, can you discuss your ideas or your vision for housing and neighborhood development in the midst of some growth that we have in our city? How do you plan to make it more accessible and spread the word about access in housing?
Absolutely. So as I think of housing, I think very vividly of my mother, who had horrible credit throughout their entire life and was able to be a homeowner within the city of Schenectady. And it was through her willpower and self-determination to see through the difficulty of acquiring acquiring properties and thinking outside of the box. So as we traditionally think of home ownership, we think of needing your down payment or closing costs, and becoming a homeowner is very, very deeper than that, where it is understanding the very facets of where your credit score is. Do you have the income and financial stability to support having a mortgage? Do you have the awareness to make sure that your maintenance is taken care of? And I mention those things because there are various programs that are already in place within the city of Schenectady. However, if people are not accurately positioned, they'll never be able to fulfill and equally take advantage of those opportunities. So for myself moving forward, I seek to want to evaluate whether those programs have been able to equitably allow all members of this community to tap into those resource pools, because it is not enough for those opportunities to be present. It is understanding if there are any safeguards or limitations that might have adverse reactions to why people aren't accurately using those, or whether there are any unforeseen limitations. So with my background and having an MBA, it's understanding that we need to get to the root cause of why there hasn't been more accessibility to those funds and resources. And I think by opening those opportunities for people to vocalize their discomfort and vocalize why they have remained unable to get houses will allow us to understand ways to continuously improve it so that Schenectady continues to propel to its greater heights.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Porterfield, may I ask you the same question? As a business owner yourself, how do you want to continue spreading the word and the knowledge about developing small business and community involvement?
Thank you. So for me, with small businesses, I have to tell you, most of my contact are with neighborhood businesses because, I visit restaurants, I go to stores, and all those things. So for me, small businesses, just making them aware of the different programs like Mr. Motaviran has spoken about that the city has, and also how they can also become members of the Chamber of Commerce, which helps them to enhance their business, to advertise their business. As you said, I have been a small business owner, and one of the things I've been advocating, and we used to have, was a business incubator. I know that we have some of them, UTech and others. However, there was a business incubator that small businesses that are extremely small businesses, maybe just one person working there, had an opportunity to incubate their business and then to move out into a larger place. So I've really been advocating that we do that again. And in addition to that, while working with Ron Gardner, who is our affirmative action manager, who helps minority and women-owned businesses, because we have many of our small businesses are owned by minorities and women. So by helping that particular program and making sure that people know about it and people have the opportunity to avail themselves to the services there, is how I've been working and towards making sure that small businesses know what's available to them in the city and in the county of Schenectady. And also encouraging people, basically, frankly, because sometimes it's going to take longer than people anticipate for their business to grow, and not to give up, because to give up means that, you know, maybe that one extra step that you would have taken is what would have gotten you there. So just to encourage people to make sure that they reach out, that they get mentors for their businesses, because that's how I've been able to, and I've done several small businesses, but for me, that's how I've worked, and used my personal experience to work with those other small business owners. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Samuel, you already mentioned that you are a business owner, and you have an interest in having the internship for younger members of our community. Can you give us a few more insights on your plans in regards to business partnerships?
So a couple of things. I want to build a little bit upon, you know, what's needed and the support that's needed for small businesses in the community. Oftentimes, you know, it stops at grants, you know, business plans, writings, all those things that get you started. That's the easy part. The hard part is access to capital, having good accountants, having lawyers that can help the business sustain. Cities and governments need to provide better access to capital to small businesses. It's a situation where when you need the money, you can't get the money. And when you don't need the money, everybody wants to give you the money. And a lot of small businesses don't make it because of that situation. So if you want to grow a city like Schenectady, there need to be more programs that provides better access to capital to everyone that's trying to run a small business. The ideas around growing the city and the talent, you know, particularly when you start talking about the program at Schenectady High that I'm trying to get going, actually it's there, we just haven't had any candidates yet, is, you know, I was on the phone earlier today with the firm in Mexico, trying to outsource a couple of positions to candidates to do some report writing for us. $37 and $40 an hour. Why can't we train our own people in the community to do these same skills and pay them $40 an hour? Why do they not exist? These are things that we need to be focused on and thinking about, because that type of activity is going to strengthen the entire, you know, community. When you start, everyone wants to know, how do we make it equal? We got to give opportunities. And how do you give those opportunities? You start training people. I can train anybody 40 hours. If you're working 40 hours a week, I can train you to do anything. I believe that wholeheartedly. So we need to stop looking elsewhere, out of the country, and into our own neighborhoods, and that's what's going to be the fruit and sustenance in these businesses that we're trying to build.
Thank you so much. I guess, Damonni, I'll roll a similar question to you as well. Understanding that you do a lot of community development, which connects with educational, inspirational, and economic strengths. Can you discuss your plans that could involve business development, connecting to housing development, and community action?
Sure. So a lot of times when people think about, we almost think of them in silos, right? And that's, you know, nothing could be further from the truth. You know, there's an intersection of economics and justice, right? I think about, a young man in the program, I know we all know the pandemic has kind of rocked all of our lives, and some communities, marginalized communities, have been impacted far worse. And out of that, you know, we had to come up with a response, and what we did is right here in this building, we have a program called Bridge the Gap, where we take young students who, you know, wouldn't have access to in-person instruction and help them with their schooling, but not just so much with academics, but there's a social-emotional component that is really, I think, the best part of the program myself. But I think about this one young man in particular, and he lives right here in the neighborhood. He was looking for employment, and he was leaving the program, walking past a group of guys who did not live here, were not a part of his community. And these guys were here working, making something like $40, $50 an hour. He was walking past them to go get on the bus, to take another bus to go someplace and make minimum wage. Able-bodied, ready to work, motivated individual has to walk past people who don't live in his community, who for any other reason probably wouldn't be in the community, come here, make be gainfully employed, only to take that money back and to go back into their community and spend the money there. So if you see how, that picture is that what we need to do is when we are creating these businesses and these projects, we have to be really intentional about hiring, employing the people that live here in the community and making sure that that dollar stays in our community, which will relieve some of these, extremely high tax burdens and other expenditures that we have here. So that's the intersection of justice and economic growth. And you really can't do one without doing the other if you want to do it right and sustainable.
Thank you so much. We're going to kind of do a quick round robin of like maybe 1 minute closing remarks for each of you, just to wrap up and be succinct as we move on to the next phase of our panel tonight. So, Councilman Motaviran, do you have closing remarks?
Thank you once again. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to the viewer who is looking at us. Great opportunity, and thank you for the invitation to be part of the Schenectady Black Political Action Committee Forum. Look forward for more of this and more engagement as we campaign and we talk to voters. And I want to encourage the voters out there and the people who are not registered to please get registered and vote on June 22nd, 2020. It's very important city council election this year. And I want to encourage everyone to please get out there. Don't be procrastinating. We need the minority community more than ever to get out there, register, vote, and to encourage your friends and family to do the same. And it's a good opportunity that the slate that we have carrying this year is one of the most diverse slate in the city, and I will say maybe the entire New York. So we should embrace the slate that we have. And we need to recognize that the changes that are happening in Schenectady and move forward. So I want to again thank you for the opportunity, and please remember the primary is June 22nd, 2020. Thank you.
Councilwoman Porterfield.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the Schenectady Black Political Action Committee for putting on this forum, for inviting me to participate. Really pleased to be here tonight. And thank you for those of you who are joining us via television or on Facebook. So first of all, I really look forward to continuing to run with this very diverse slate, as Mr. Motaviran has said. I'm pleased to be running with the candidates. You've heard from everyone, and as you can see, we bring different strengths to the table. So that is another part of the diversity that we bring in. I would certainly serve with everyone that is sitting up here today. Would look forward to doing that. I want to thank them for taking the time and deciding that this is something that they want to do. I'm just looking forward to it because I've been on the city council for 9 years, as I've said, and our representation has been myself until Mr. Mootooveren joined. So together, we've been the only two minority candidates for the past 8 years. But we need some more diversity of ideas, as you've heard today, more diversity of thought and of age. So I'm looking forward to them joining our council. I want to ask everyone here, and within the sound of my voice, for your support at the primary on June 22nd. I would love to continue to serve as your councilwoman, and also to help the young people that are joining us, the new council members that are joining us, to show them, teach them some of the things that I've learned over the years and just the basics process of how the council works. And of course, I would also like to see civility return to the council. As you've heard, there's been some discourse, so I look forward to serving with everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Farley.
Okay, so yeah, I'd like to echo a lot of Councilwoman Porterfield's thoughts, especially being grateful to have this opportunity to be before you tonight. And I think that it's time for our city to have a government that is operating in purpose, not in power. when you're operating in purpose, not in power, some of the discord, as it was described, it really limits that. It really minimizes that because there's an intentional effort to do what is best for the city. And as corny as it sounds, that is one surefire way, when you operate in purpose, not in power, that you will listen to people, you will make plans with people, not for people. And that's what I know I bring to the table. As a small business owner, in my profession, I do a lot of professional development around diversity, inclusion, and community engagement. That's a skill set that I think is desperately needed on the city council, and I think that I'm excited about the opportunity to serve and besides someone like a Councilwoman Porterfield and Councilman Motaviran and Haileab and Carl. I am super excited about the opportunity where your innovation meets wisdom, and we kind of work in a collaborative way to move the city forward. Because what's happening right now isn't that. But we can and will do better. We're not afraid of better. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Samuel.
Yes. So I don't have any personal agendas, for serving the city. Like I told you, I'm serving the city because the city has been good to me, and also because I wanted to be good to everyone else in the city. I want to thank the Schenectady Black Political Action Committee, and I want to thank God for this moment because, it's not every day we get an opportunity to sit on a panel like this with people of color and hear diverse thought and compassion and concern for everyone in the city. This is a great opportunity, and I'm privileged and honored that I was able to sit here before you today and just let you get to know a little bit about Haileab Samuel. Just a country boy from South Carolina trying to do good things in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams.
So as you see me shaking off the COVID rust, it's different being out here in front of people, but it feels good. I think I want to remind everyone that I'm here to learn. I'm not going to do everything perfectly, but the one thing that I will strive to do is make sure that as I campaign to be on this platform of City Council, you'll see less of me and more of what we can accomplish together. My slogan is, together we are Schenectady, because as we walk through our neighborhoods and people put up these divisive walls, you need to understand that we are not going to reach our true potential unless we work together, and I believe that 1,000%. I wholeheartedly look forward to what the city can be as we continue working on the downtown areas, but striving to move those resources into the communities that desperately need that same attention. I can guarantee you I'm not going to do everything perfect, but I'm a genuinely good-hearted person that is just seeking to be of good service to the community. So thank you for everything that Schenectady has done for my life, and I look forward to giving that back day in day, as long as you are open to my words and me taking on this responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to have a quick switch over to our candidates for school board. And thank you to the city council candidates. We appreciate your comments, and we appreciate the information to get to know you better in various ways.
Thank you.
It's like right there. Yeah.
Give me that bottle of water. That bottle of water.
I'm all right. Okay, good evening again. We will have a brief introductions. Each candidate will say hello to us, give us their insights about the school board and why they are running, and then I'll ask a question and they'll both respond. Thank you. And we'll start with Ms. Jamaica Miles.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jamaica Miles. I was born and raised in the city of Schenectady. I've spent almost 47 years here. I've lived in almost every neighborhood in this city, but I have absolutely lived in every marginalized community that we live in. I sit here as a resident that has fought for more than 20 years for our students, spent the last 10 years fighting to ensure that we receive the funding that our school district is owed. Our district that when I first started the fight was owed over $60 million, and today we are still owed over $40 million that the state has finally said it will fully phase in after we have lifted up the voices of parents, of students, of community members to ensure that the state understands we are serious about equity. We are serious about ensuring that our children have access and opportunity to realize their full potential, that we will not sit on the sidelines and simply allow those to make decisions for us when we are capable of making decisions for ourselves. After spending all of that time fighting for the funding, I knew there was another step in that process. We right now don't even have a superintendent in our school district. The current school board has not been able to fulfill its promise to ensure we have leadership. So we need to make sure that those individuals that live every single day in our communities, talking to our parents, talking to our children, being representatives and advocates for those voices often left unheard, are the ones that are bringing those voices to the table. That we don't simply let others speak for us, but we speak for ourselves. So after being the advocate on the outside, I know that now is the time for me to be at that table, to ensure not just that we are outside the door, but trust me, I'm not ending that. It does not mean that because I sit at the table, that I'm not gonna still be outside the door in the community every single day, talking to community members like I have for the last, 20 plus years. But we need to have voices inside. We need to look at equity. We need to recognize the language that is used in our hallways, and I'm not talking about filth and flarn. I'm talking about how our teachers talk to our students. I'm talking about how our parents have access and opportunity to our buildings. That means using words like marginalized and minoritized, because we are the majority, not the minority. It means recognizing that when we lift up Black and brown students, we pave the way for everyone else. That when we lead with an anti-racist lens, we are ending all forms of oppression and exploitation, because it is racism in this country that paved the way for all the harm that we face. And that may sound like something radical, but it's not. It means that every single day I will show up and ensure that all of our children have access and opportunity, not some of us. I started an organization last year, and it's called All of Us for a reason. As the co-founder, we say the same thing every day. It's not one of us, it's all of us. And we need to make sure that's true inside our school district as well.
Thank you. Mr., they'll help me, Sprauve?
Sprauve. Yes.
Prince Sprauve. Thank you.
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Prince Sprauve. I'm a film director. I've been serving this community for over 20 years. I'm originally from Brooklyn, but I moved up here when I was 17 years old. During that stage is when I started serving the community. I became a coach at J. Burrell, started coaching kids, and then at the age of 21, I started working at the school district as a paraprofessional. And I'm here and I'm running because I really feel like that I have some really innovative ways, and I've been close to the community, close to the kids, close to people that didn't have all of the same opportunities like everybody else. And I think just for the most part, I'm not a politician. I'm not coming here to impress anybody. I'm coming as myself. I'm coming as a father with 2 kids in the district. I'm coming as a community member. I'm coming as a film director that's concerned about our school district, that has served and worked in the school district for over 10 years, and then partnered and contracted with the school district after I started my nonprofit Told by Us, and leveraged over $500,000 for my nonprofit to serve kids right in this very building with 2 floors upstairs, which I served and taught kids how to do film and music for many years. So with that being said, I also created a couple of films called Fast Life. Some of y'all are familiar with that. Back in 2013, I actually premiered right in this building, and we had over 1,800 community members from the community in collaboration with the school district attend to see these projects. I also did another project called Cradle that dealt with the teen pregnancy issue inside of this city. We were second in the state for highest teenage pregnancy rates, and due to the collaboration from Planned Parenthood, the school district, Told by Us, many other organizations that I can name, including Proctor's, we've been able to drop some points and come down, and stop our students from, being in these types of situations, excuse me. And I think that I really have some innovative ideas that I really feel like that I can bring to the table. Like, for instance, I'm gonna give you a prime example. When you start talking about introducing education and academic, we need to be focusing more on real life experiences, not just the education portion. When you start talking about stocks, when you start talking about taxes and credit, we need to be teaching our kids this stuff inside of the school district. We're not setting our kids up for real life experiences after they come out of high school. So when you start talking about, do you know how many kids I've gotten across the line to graduate, and then they look up at me and then they ask me, then what now? What do I do now? Where do I go now? Because the only goal was just to get them across the line just for high school, and they got the diploma, but now they don't even know how to leverage it and how to use it to their advantage. And what has the pandemic showed us? It showed us that the degree and the college, is great, but it ought to be used as a tool and not as a standard, because the internet and everything else that have shown us is that it's an even playing field now. These kids are taking social media and they're taking all of these different things and they're becoming millionaires overnight. And they're using it without us and they're learning it without us. And matter of fact, we're behind technology-wise and being progressive. So when you start talking about running, I want to be at the table, create a table that we can talking about negotiating and partnering with, not just people of leadership, but the community. It's time the kids have a voice in this. It's time that the kids talk about what they want. It's time to hear from these parents. What are the barriers? We need to assess what's going on. We need to assess the needs of the community and look at all of these different situations and then allocate these funds accordingly.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask both of you the same question and maybe get 4-minute response. I know we're tight on time, but going off of what you just said about access for parents and programs and maybe more access to a vocational track and connections to that, and maybe parent and teacher representation, so teachers look like us, and those types of initiatives. What are your direct plans? What do you think you will bring, other than your vast experience and contributions to the community? What will you bring to the school board?
So there's quite a bit that we need to change inside Schenectady School District. We're fortunate as a school district that we took the lead in some ways that other school districts didn't. Schenectady School District was one of the first school districts I ever heard actually say they were going to use an anti-racism lens in teaching children and educating the educators, right? We need to continue that. We need to ensure that all staff have an anti-racism lens, that they are trained on. A community conversation I just had last night. Parents were saying, how do we know how often they're going to get that training? How will we be sure that every staff person, every teacher that is inside our building has that same lens, so that when they're interacting with our children, we know that they're going to respect them and be inclusive and welcoming to them. So we need to ensure that the policies that come from now on are ones that lead in a way that allow every child that access and opportunity. We also need to make sure that we hire a superintendent that isn't corporate. I'm just gonna say it.
Yes.
We need to ensure that we are not perpetuating racist policies when we're looking to hire an individual that's going to serve a predominantly Black and brown school district. Our teachers are more than 85, 90% white, but our student body is far more racially diverse and students of color. We need to ensure that our textbooks, our curriculum, and the way that our teachers teach are going to address the inherent racism that exists inside our school district. And to every white parent that hears me say these words, understand that means a better education for your child as well, because they are being educated to go out into a world that is as diverse as our school district is. We need to ensure that they show up in that way and recognize, oh my goodness, there are Black doctors and there are Latinx physicians who, are brain surgeons or whatever it is, to better prepare our students. That means we look at the budget that we have. We prioritize equity in the programs and services, and that we no longer live under a scarcity model that doesn't exist because we won the funding.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
The question is, what are your direct plans and actions? You spoke about it in your introduction, but be a little more specific of what you will bring to the school district.
Well, one of the things I'm going to bring to the school district, I've always been a strong liaison for the school district, connecting the community and the school district and putting them in the same place without pointing the finger at one another. And once we start to understand that it's not just this person's community, it's our community, we'll start to look at each other a little bit differently. Whether you're a police officer, whether you're a teacher, or whatever you are, you won't look at this other person like, I'm just here to collect a check, but I'm here to collaborate with my community members. And these kids are a direct a line of us. They actually mirror us. So when we see our kids and they're in a certain condition, that's a direct reflection of our leadership. That's a direct reflection of us as parents, and that's a direct reflection of us as community members. So one of the things that I want to put back is programs, right? We lost a lot of our programs. What do we have our kids to do? Like, they're running up and down the streets. They're getting into all types of trouble because there's no programs. Other things that we need to do, we need to be innovative with social media, and we need to be innovative with, like I said before, credit. Our kids don't know nothing about credit. They don't have any clue about what credit is just coming out of high school. They don't have any clue about what taxes are. Do you know how many young people have become entrepreneurs over the last year and a half because of the pandemic? Do you know how many kids are actually millionaires right now, accessing on social media, Instagram, have over 500,000 followers and making more money than a lot of people in this room with master's degree? So what is that telling you? We're losing the value of things that we made the standard, and we need to be progressive with technology. We need to one of the things my daughter said to me the other day that I thought was very interesting. She looked at me and she said, "Dad," she said, "do you know I'm in the 6th grade, but I've never had a black teacher?" And when you look at those things, and when you hear an 11-year-old tell you that is a problem. That is a problem, because these kids in our communities, such as Mount Pleasant, such as Hamilton Hill, places that don't really get heard. They don't have anybody in the classroom that looks like them or seems like that could be this. This is why it's so powerful for me to run. And I'm running as I am. I'm running as who I am. I'm a film director. No, I'm not a politician. I'm not coming here to impress anybody. I'm the same person that's been running for the last 20 years and been advocating for our students the same exact way as anybody else in this room. And so what I'm bringing to the table is programming, education, being a liaison, putting things in place that's going to be innovative, bringing innovative ideas, more modern ideas. And not only that, I'm connected directly to the kids. I've served hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids in this building. I've served hundreds of kids at the Schenectady City School District, Jerry Burrell, and all of the places that most people don't want to go up. And guess what? I'm valid everywhere. I can be in a meeting with an executive director and then go down to the hood. You might see me in the chicken spot. And this is for real. And I'm not saying this to I think I have a very unique position. And your soldiers and your lieutenant don't look like the president. We don't all wear the same uniform, but we all have the same mission. And that's what's important right now, is that we stay focused on that. We are unique, eclectic in our own ways. And when we put our ego aside and when we put everything else aside, we can do some great things.
Thank you. Jamaica and I are parents too. Yes. We've been in this.
Yes.
We both have children in high school. Yes, what your daughter has said is what my children have said their whole journey. They've only had me as a black teacher coming and doing a junior achievement once in a while. So it's a crisis level. As we close up for tonight, do you have a closing message for us to know, other than May 18th is the day for the primary for the school board elections, and please come out for that. We need a higher turnout of our families and our tax-paying community members to vote for the school board elections. So that's May 18th.
Yes.
So, closing remarks.
I would say that if there's anyone that needs a ride to the polls or anyone that can give a ride to the polls, all of us is doing a ride to the polls on May 18th. So be sure to look out for that. You can find it on our page at Untitled and Free. The other thing is, Prince talked about this a little bit. We need to break down barriers and walls.
Yes.
We need to meet people where they're at. Yeah. We can't continue to be a school board that shows up, sits at a table, and thinks that we have all the answers when we've not actually talked to the people. There needs to be full transparency. It cannot be these behind-the-wall conversations that happen, or, oh, well, we had an open conversation at the school board, but no one showed up. Then what are you doing to make sure people can show up? How are you making those meetings fully accessible to the individuals that need to be in those rooms? What are you doing to hear their voices when you're not in that room? I've been an organizer now for more than 10 years, and if I know nothing else, there is nothing that stops you from hearing from the people that need to be heard, except for yourself. So if you're not willing to show up and do the work to be able to reach out to the people so that they not only know what is happening in their school district, but that you hear from them about what they need in their school district, then you are not the representative that our school district needs. So every single day, I will continue to be who I am. I will be an organizer, I will be an advocate, I will be a mother, and I will be the social justice warrior that this city made me. And it made me through fire, not through love. But I will make sure that no child goes through what I went through when I was in school.
Thank you. Closing remarks.
I just would like to say thank you for this opportunity. You know, I have plans to win, but whether I win or I lose, I'm telling the community and I'm sending them a message that it's time for us to take control of our community. We want to make decisions, we got to get in these seats. We have to step up, we have to be accountable, we have to be responsible, and most of all, we have to be on the front line. I'm the same person that came here when I was 17 years old, that coached kids at J. Burrell running practices. I'm the same person that applied at 21 years old to be a paraprofessional, but had plans to go to college to be a teacher, but I ended up coming out a film director. I'm the same person that in that first year that I started an after-school program to serve kids who were left out and built a studio inside of the school by myself, single-handedly. I'm the same person that then ran that program, taught himself how to do video and film, and then taught kids. And then took that same program after 5 years, right, and started to build my first film with them, with over 150 kids involved, called Fast Life. I'm the same person that then took that program and then made a nonprofit and then leveraged over $500,000. I'm the same person that then built another movie with the city with over 200 kids that was involved in that film. What better person to be on a school board that's been close to the community, that understand the barriers, that understand the things that our parents are going through? I'm the same person that knocked on doors when families and people wanted to hurt each other because there were things going on inside of the community. And I'm the same person that the school district called when things went wrong. So I'm telling you, we have to put ourselves in position. And May 18th, I'm expecting a big turnout. I'm expecting people to turn out, and understand that this election matters. It matters. If you think it doesn't matter, it matters. And this is why we're here. I'm not running to be a politician. I have no agenda. I'm running to serve my community. I'm running to serve our kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this discussion, for allowing us to get to know you better and to understand your passion, your credentials, and your plans for our school board in particular. And we'd like to thank each of you for watching, for participating with our panel today, our 3 panels today, this evening. The Schenectady Black Political Action Committee thanks you. We hope that you will be serious and intentional about coming out to vote on May 18th and June 22nd. Yes, every vote counts. Every time there's an opportunity to vote, you should do that. I feel very grateful. Again, my name is Dr. Deidre Hill Butler, and we are grateful for your participation and hope to hear from each of you soon. I'd like to introduce Cynthia Farmer, who is a member of the Schenectady Black Action Committee, who will give closing remarks.
Good evening. I am Cynthia Farmer, and I'm a proud member of the Schenectady Black Political Action Committee. Although we are at the beginning stages, we are fully committed to support people of color running for political office. At the same time, we need to make members of the community realize that their voice is power, their power is their vote, and their vote can make a difference. This is both an exciting and historical time as more people of color are running for office in Schenectady. We need to familiarize the community with the candidates and their platforms and stop the practice of voting for people because of their party affiliation, whether they are Democrat or Republican. It is quite simple. If the candidates does not represent your ideals and values or have realistic plans to make positive change, then you don't vote for them. The Schenectady Black Political Action Committee is supporting these candidates. For the Schenectady County Legislature, District 1, Omar Sterling McGill. For the City Council, four-year term, John Motaviran and Marion Porterfield and Damonni Farley. For City Council, two-year term, Haileab Samuel and Carl Williams. And for the Schenectady School Board, Jamaica Miles and Prince Sprauve. We are asking for you to join us. And when you see them out in the streets canvassing, take the time to open your door and listen to them. Ask your questions. See what they're all about. That's what you need to do. That's how you educate yourself and be able to make a decision, the right decision to vote. At this time, I would like to thank Dr. Deidre Butler for doing an amazing job as the moderator. We'd like to thank Phil Morris and his staff for hosting our program and giving us access to the theater. And we'd like to thank all of you, our guests, viewing and here supporting our program. Last but certainly not least, a big thank you to our candidates for seeing the need to get involved and present your plan to make the change that is necessary in our city. You definitely have our vote. Thank you, and have a good night.